The following is a Spirit Street production.
Football is right around the corner in the Big 12 conference. People, be excited. Be excited. I know I'm excited. And we've been a series this week. We've been talking about the best non-conference games. We've talked about the best in-conference games. Today, we're going to do a little bit different. We're going to talk about some sneaky good games within the conference and which games that may be a little bit off the radar, but we still believe are going to be very good football games. This is the Big 12 Insiders.
Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show, presented by Synergy Financial Partners. Now let's go to booming North Texas, home of Studio 73. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Big 12 Insiders. It's your man, Big B, Brien Hanley, along with Tim Fitzgerald. Fitz, how are you doing today, my man?
I'm wonderful, brother. I am wonderful. It's Thursday. It's cool in Kansas. What the hell's going on? It's 70 degrees. I don't know what's happening. Maybe even Mother Nature's getting ready for football season.
Well, I'm glad that they're getting ready for football season in Kansas, because here in Dallas, it is 104. So much for it being cool in football weather here in Dallas, because it is 104 degrees. You can't even get in your swimming pool because it's like bath water out there. It's just absolutely ridiculous today. So, but before we get started, I want to thank everybody again for all the support that you guys have given this channel. Remember to follow, like, subscribe. More importantly, leave those comments. Keeps driving the algorithm. It really helps us. And more importantly, I love going back and forth with you guys. So I appreciate all of that. Me and Fitz, we're having a ball doing this. And you guys subscribing and giving us support that you have just ensures, and it gives us even more emphasis on continuing to do this for you guys.
Yeah, and Brian, we're planning on doing every weekday in football.
Yes.
If any of you have content ideas, what would you like to see us do with this time?
Yep.
I mean, we got a wide canvas here. We're going to do, of course, game wrap-ups on Monday and pregame show later in the week, but we got other things we can do in there. And if you have some great ideas, drop them in the comments. Maybe we'll adopt one of those. And also on another note, a long, loud shout out to Synergy Financial Partners, our initial advertiser. They're moving off the show, but this show wouldn't exist without them. They gave us the running start. Thank you to Jeff Huggins and everyone at Synergy for their support and helping us bring the show to you. We're working on a new sponsor. If you have any ideas, drop them in the comments. If you are a possible sponsor, hit me up some one way or another, and we'll get it figured out.
Absolutely. Yeah, we couldn't thank Synergy Financial enough for what they did for us to get going. So, but without further ado, let's get after this. So, again, today we are talking about some of the sneaky good football games within the Big 12 this season. Now, again, I want to make an emphasis on this. Number one, we're not doing this in order. We are just throwing out games. It's not a one through, like we ranked the other ones. These we're not ranking. We're just putting these games out there because I'll be honest, I don't think when you're talking about sneaky good games, I don't think we have to have a ranking. I think it's more important just to put them out there so everybody can see. So Let's go. The one game, Fitz, in the comments section that people have been talking about, BYU and Utah. Look, it isn't that that's not a big game. First of all, it's not going to be in this group or what we're talking about today, because that's not a sneaky good game. Okay, that's a big time rivalry game. So it's not sneaking up on anybody. And even though, over the last 10 years, I know they haven't played every single year, but over the last 10 games, Utah's won 9 and all but one have been fairly close. But this year's game, I'll just be honest, I'm not sure that it qualified. That's why we didn't put them in the other games, because I think Utah is just really that good. And I don't think that BYU necessarily is, Fitz. And even though in rivalries you can throw out the records a lot of times, but I think when the talent differential differs so much, sometimes those games can get lost in the shuffle. And I think this might be one of those years.
Yeah, when you're listing the best games, the most impactful games in the conference, we don't expect this to be one. Maybe it will be, but if you go back to yesterday's list, there's hardly any, teams from what we would consider the lower grouping of teams in the conference, because we don't expect those teams to have much impact.
Correct.
On the standings overall. Not pulling, someone will pull upsets, but it's not expected. But this list features some of those schools because these games might be flying under the radar, but we think they could be really entertaining matchups.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get to it here. First one that I have is Oklahoma at TCU. Look, or not Oklahoma, Oklahoma State at TCU.
Flashback.
Excuse me. Now, look, the reason that I have this one on here is because I think TCU is looking for, and I think they're bound for a bounce back year. I think they go to the national championship game. And it was almost like they had PTSD from getting destroyed in that championship game last year. They lost a lot of NFL guys, and I think they are on the bounce back. And I also think Oklahoma State's is good. And I think a lot of people don't think that TCU is going to be that good. I think they're going to be a little bit better fits than what people believe they are.
And this is certainly a game to prove their worth. Oklahoma State seems to be running the gauntlet in some ways this year on the schedule. TCU is more than capable of winning this game and make a statement. This could be a wildly entertaining game.
Yes, absolutely. Looking at the next game now, look, we just finished just talking bad about BYU. I don't think we were really talking bad about them.
No.
We're just being honest. Well, we got BYU against SMU, or early conference or non-conference game. That was on one of our top 12 non-conference games. I think it's an opportunity. Look, if BYU is going to be a factor in the Big 12, they got to go and compete against SMU because SMU is going to have a good football team. That's why I think this game's a sneaky game, Fitz, because maybe BYU surprises everybody and they're better than what we think they're going to be. And I hope they are. By all means, go out and go beat SMU on the road. I think Big 12 insiders might actually be at that game, Fitz. Not too far from Studio 73 here in Frisco. So we may head on down to that game down there and check it out. But, I just think for the conference sake, this is a game that BYU's got to play well in. I think it could be a sneaky good game.
I agree. This is going to be a great measuring stick for BYU. What is it about these religious schools playing each other that kind of revs me up? It's kind of an oddity. Feels like the football version of the Crusades.
Right.
But I'm really kind of stoked about this game because SMU's a good football program, pounding their chest about being in the ACC before it dies, and it's going to be a great opportunity for the Big 12 to roll in there and say, hey, this is supposed to be the worst team in the conference or one of the worst teams, and they won. And I think this could be a really heated contest.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it can be. I think it's a game that BYU's got to go put their best foot forward and try to come go get a win. and again, change the perception of what their season could possibly be. That's a big opportunity. Next up, we talked about this game also in the non-conference schedule, Texas Tech at Washington State. I think it's a good opportunity for Texas Tech to really lean into being the kind of football team that they thought they were going to be last year. And I think it's an opportunity for them to lean in on how good they can be this year. They got to wipe that bad taste out of their mouth from what happened to them early in the season last year. This is a good opportunity on the road at a good Washington State team. Look, they lost their coach. They lost their conference. But I still believe they have football players there. They're going to have a decent football team. Texas Tech's got to go win this game.
Absolutely, they do. This is another good measurement. I was all on the Tech train last year. I had them playing for the Big 12 championship. I was revved up, and then the train came off the tracks.
Right.
And they never fully got it back on the tracks, and now they get to start all over again. Let's see if they can roll through this game because this is exactly the type of thing that derailed them last year. But I'm excited about this because of the orphan status of Washington State. It's kind of weird. I would feel good for them if they won. Be bad for the Big 12, but you kind of want the orphans to have some nice things at some point. But I think Tech wins this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they do. I think it's good for them. But I also think it's going to be a good football game, more importantly. And that's what we're talking about, some sneaky good football games within the Big 12. Next up, Mississippi State at Arizona State. Look, we haven't talked much about Arizona State. We don't necessarily believe that they're going to have that great of a football season this year. And I don't know that it's really all their fault. And look, some of the stuff that happened before this current administration took over, or coaching staff, whatever you want to call it, before they took over, it kind of hamstrung.
Right.
I think they do have to get it going. I think you're taking a step up within the conference now. It's time for you to get going. But I think this is their opportunity to do that. Mississippi State's in the SEC. Whether they're any good or not is a different conversation for a different day. But, hey, they're still in the SEC. And, again, an opportunity for Arizona State to say, you know what? We're not as bad as what you guys think. We got some good football players here. We're playing good football. We got a good coach. And we're going to beat this team that's in the powerful SEC. I think this is a good chance. And also, but again, I think it's going to be a good football game.
I agree. Again, this is another team picked for the lower rungs of this conference, if not the lowest.
Right.
And yet I feel like this is going to be a good game. Mississippi State is supposed to be down, a little bit, one of the weaker teams in the SEC. But as you just mentioned, it's still SEC. And there's clowns out there who think every team in the SEC is better than every team in the Big 12. And this is an opportunity to take one of the teams not expected to be very good this year and beat someone. It's big for the conference, and it's huge for Arizona State football, because this would be a giant jolt in the arm if they could get this one done.
Absolutely. Big jolt in the arm if they can go get this one done. Again, I think it'll be a really good football game. But it'll also be a measuring stick for the conference, more important.
Right.
Big measuring stick. So last one before we take our first break here. Colorado at Colorado State. I mean, this one is sneaky good, crazy rivalry that I believe Colorado State thinks is more of a rival than what Colorado at least wants to admit. A lot of things happened between the coaching staffs last year. And see, Jay Norvell, he takes shots at every coach every time. He's just grasping at straws to keep his job. Good for him. But the bottom line is this game could get nasty, Fitz. I think it's going to be a really good football game. And again, maybe it'll be sneaky just because I don't think a lot of people think Colorado State's going to be very good. But it became a sneaky good game after last year, because I stayed up till 2 a.m. to watch the end of that game last year. We'll see, but I think it's going to be a sneaky good one. But also one Colorado's got to go win.
I know. This is one of those games. This one's in Fort Collins, right? This is one of those games that, God, I wish I could be there.
Right.
Well, first of all, I'd like to be in Fort Collins, but the game is going to be a blast. It's on CSU's home field. It's a beautiful newer stadium. I'll be, if this doesn't conflict, I'll be watching this one. It was great last year. It should be good again. Man, Colorado, you bit off an awful lot in your non-conference schedule. You got a rivalry game in the state. You got a rivalry game from the old Big 8, and you've got one of the better FCS teams on your non-con. Live well.
I mean, basically, that's a product of what Colorado had been over the last 15 years. When you sink to that level, what Colorado sank to, then all of a sudden you become the game, not necessarily Colorado State, but you become the game that people want to schedule. Hey, we're playing a Power 5 team, but we can go beat that team. So we'll see what happens with Colorado. Again, Colorado State game, you got to go win this football game. So We're going to take a quick break here. We will be right back to reveal the rest of our list of the sneaky games in the top 12 sneaky games within the Big 12 Conference. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
At Synergy Financial Partners, the mission is to change the way Americans plan for their financial future. Synergy doesn't just offer you a financial plan. At Synergy, the goal is to help you find your best financial future. Learn more at synergyfinancial.com.
Welcome back to the show. Let's return to Studio 73.
All right, welcome back to the Big 12 Insiders. This is, again, your man, Big B, Brien Hanley, along with Tim Fitzgerald. We are counting down the list, not really counting down, but we're giving you our list of the top 12 sneakiest football games within the Big 12 Conference. So let's pick it up where we left off. Next up on the list, again, we're not giving a ranking to these. We're just giving you the actual list. We've got TCU at SMU. Yeah, it's a rivalry game. TCU, they kind of look their nose down when it comes to football at SMU. Fitz, they do. Fort Worth, Dallas, it's a big DFW game. Again, it's a Big 12 versus ACC game. TCU's got to put their best foot forward. I think SMU is really good. I think the game's going to be outstanding. I think it's going to be high scoring, and I think the game's going to be an outstanding football game.
Well, again, two religious institutions going at it. This is not the holy war between BYU and Utah, but this is almost like we're almost holy war. I mean, both TCU and SMU have kind of moved away from their religious founding,
right,
and yet still carry Christian and Methodist in their names. But these schools don't like each other. In that great Christian spirit, they despise each other. And after dealing with some of the SMU fans and TCU fans also, I'll be honest, I get why there's a lot of friction, but wow, those SMU fans are living in their own world. This is a huge game for SMU. I feel like this is one of those situations, honestly, Big B, that SMU has kind of valued this game a little bit more than TCU.
Yeah.
Let's go Frogs, hop to it. Let's make this a win every year for the purple team. We'll see how this goes, but this is a sneaky good game. There's a lot of heat here, not as much as the actual Holy War, but this one has a lot of feelings in it.
It does. It's one of those games that I won't say that it galvanizes the DFW area, but DFW pays attention. They absolutely pay attention here. So I'll be interested to see this game. Like I said, I think it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be a good football game. Next up on the list, we've got Houston at Cincinnati. Look, Cincinnati's starting. Well, Houston is starting over. Cincinnati is kind of starting over. They got a new coach. I think it's a make or break year for Scott Satterfield. I just don't think the Cincinnati fans are going to stand for the kind of football that got played last year. They're not going to stand for that this year. They're just not. They got to get it figured out. Not sure it's going to happen. However, I think this is going to be a good football game. And remember, that's what we're talking about here. Sneaky good football games. In Houston at Cincinnati, a team that's trying to build a new identity in Houston, a team that's trying to figure out their identity at Cincinnati, going against each other. I think it's going to be a good Big 12 conference game, Fitz.
Yeah, and plenty of leftover feelings from their time in the American together.
Yep.
This is, again, a game between two of the teams we expect to be towards the lower rungs of this conference this year, and it will kind of sort out who belongs maybe a step higher. I know that you believe this, and I certainly believe this. Willie Fritz will get Houston going, and if he can, kind of pick up some steam from winning this game, it'd be huge.
Yeah.
And Cincinnati's at a crossroads. They came off so many great years under Luke Fickell. They made a hire to replace him when he went to Wisconsin, and I just don't think it's working. And I know it's only 1 year in, but you can't have that kind of turn of success into failure so quickly and do it for a couple years and probably survive. Cincinnati's in the big time now, and I expect them to address the football program as a big time program because they want to be good and they deserve to be good.
Absolutely. I'm glad you threw that last part in there, Fitz. They deserve to be good. UC fans, they take a back seat to Ohio State fans because there's obviously more Ohio State fans in the state of Ohio, but that doesn't mean they're less passionate. Doesn't mean they're less knowledgeable, because UC fans are very knowledgeable when it comes to football. They play outstanding high school football there. They're just not going to stand for the program to take a step back. Like when it had got built up to where it is, they're not willing to take a step back, and they don't have to be willing.
No.
There's some programs out there, Fitz, that, maybe they think they're a little bit bigger than what they actually are. Cincinnati's not one of those. They built themselves up, went through some tough times, and got to a point to where, okay, we're here. We're ready to compete. We don't need to be taking any steps back. We're a better program than that. It's not like their coach got fired, like they fired Luke Fickell and they're building a new program. That's not what happened. So I think that's why UC fans are like, hold on a second. We need to, if this can't get right now, we got to make a change, because there's no reason to be taking steps back here. So
I agree. Look, here's kind of the core of this list for me. you're sitting there on Saturday and you're in your boxers. Congratulations, it's a good life. In the recliner, flipping around. What game's up next? What game do you stop and go, I think I'll watch that.
Yeah.
This is one of them.
Yes.
It's like if I'm free and Cincinnati Houston's on, I'm like, okay, let's see how they match up. Let's see if there's a little bit of friction here between these programs and if they play some good football. If I turn it on and see the equivalent of a former Kansas State game from the 1980s, I'll turn it off. But it should be a wildly entertaining game against two coaches with something to prove.
This game, this Houston at Cincinnati game, fits to me. I like what you said. It's an equivalent of, I love football. I want to watch this game. I want to watch a football game, and this is the game that's on. I'm going to watch basically a football lover's game. And a lot of people are I love to watch good football. I don't have anything invested in these two teams, but I think this will be a good football game. That's what I would describe this game
Great.
as. TCU, next up, TCU at Kansas. First of all, again, I've already said I think TCU is going to be better than what a lot of people think they are, or at least they need to be better than what a lot of people think they are. And I think Kansas will be good, but I also think this is going to be a good football game. TCU, again, the game will be at Arrowhead because Kansas is doing their renovation to their stadium, and they needed to. Good for them. But I think it'll be a good football game. If TCU is going to have the type of season that they want to have, they got to go compete here. I'm not saying they got to go win, but they got to go compete, and I think they will. Again, I think it'll be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, this is one of those games that Kansas should win if they're, playing the way they're capable of playing. But then again, it could just go totally south on them. This just feels like a game that's going to be sneaky good because TCU is just going to kind of roll into Kansas City and play some football because they have those moments of being just outstanding, which is most of 2022. But they did fall off last year, and they just got to start winning some of these. This one isn't even 50-50. KU should win this. This is a 70-30 in my book, but once in a while when you're the 30, you got to find a way to win it to get your program moving.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad that's an excellent point. It's time to get the program moving. You got to go win the game. I love that analogy. And I think you guys have heard me say that many, many times. Hey, if you want to get good, you want to be considered good, want to be with the big boys, there's games that you need to go win. This would be one of them. Yeah. So next up, Texas Tech at Arizona.
Ooh,
again, I think Texas Tech is can be a sneaky good team. A lot of people think Arizona's going to have a good team. Sneaky good game. Again, another one of those games, Fitz, that falls into I'm a football lover. This is a football lover's football game right here. Going to be high scoring. I think a lot of people will be interested to watch this game just because it's going to be a high scoring, good football game.
This is an old school back burner rivalry. It got shoved away. But these were conference foes for many years before college football blew up into the money-making industry it is, and they went their separate ways. But this game, I just feel like, even though that rivalry hasn't existed for, I don't even know, 50 years, I'm not even sure, it's going to flip the switch and just get going again. There's some similarities between these schools. They're, kind of in the southern portion of this conference, and what most of us would view as kind of islands out there in less inhabitable lands. This is a cool game, man. This is one I really want to see because I feel like this could be a highlight of the new 12. It's these two teams squaring up and renewing something that honestly probably should have never gone away. We talk about the rivalries we lose from realignment. Brother, here's one we gained back.
Yeah.
One that had been forgotten by time, but we regained it, and I think that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. And I think it's something that even though there hasn't been a rivalry in so many years, maybe they can pick it up. You can't really just create a rivalry. I mean, I know a conference can try to do that, but maybe this is one where it's just been simmering, for so many years, and they want to pick it back up. Hopefully that'll be the case. I think it'll definitely be the case in basketball because playing in both of those opposing arenas, those are hostile environments. So Maybe it could be the same thing in football. Hopefully it will be, but I know it's going to be a good football game, or at least I believe it's going to be a good football game. Last one before we take our final break here. Texas Tech again at TCU. Now, again, these games are always good. I guess it's not necessarily sneaky good, but it could be sneaky good this year because, again, I think the teams have these in the middle of the pack. And a lot of times people don't pay attention to middle of the pack teams in a conference. But in the Big 12, you should, because the way that the Big 12 is set up, just for people that are just getting into the conference, anybody can win this damn thing this year, Fitz. We have our favorites, but anybody can win on any given Saturday within this league. And these are two of the teams that can go, and if you're not paying attention, will come up and bite you. And on them playing each other, I think it's going to be a really good football game.
Look, I used to bet Big 12 games. Last season broke me of doing that because I fell in this trap of every game I thought that I knew exactly how it'd come out. This game, this is an easy call. I basically missed on every one of them. This game, I have no clue. I have no clue. If it was in Lubbock, I'd probably take Texas Tech based on where I think the two teams will be this year in terms of quality. But if it is in Fort Worth, wow. Yeah, I think Texas Tech is the disruptor in so many ways here. We don't expect them to be great, but maybe the greatness is going to come a year late because we sure did expect it in 23. Maybe it'll show up in 24, and they have some stability at quarterback and all those things that can go wrong, that did go wrong. And this again, TCU is just in so many of these games this year that you're like, you know what? That could be pretty damn good. And part of the reason is a compliment towards TCU is they always play physical football. Even when they weren't good last year, they'll knock your teeth in now.
That's right.
And that makes for some very entertaining football.
Absolutely. Going to be a good football game. Again, two teams, middle of the pack, we think, and middle of the pack teams don't always get all the attention, but these are teams that if you're not paying attention will come up and bite you. Also scratching and clawing to get to maybe the upper ring, Fits. That's where these teams are. And again, it's a game that they got to win. It's on the schedule. I love it. Love that this type of atmosphere that the Big 12 is creating with these type of games. I love that. Yep. So we'll be right back. Again, one word from our sponsor. We'll finish off the list of the top sneaky games within the Big 12 conference. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
At Synergy Financial Partners, the vision is to build the world's largest consumer financial education and empowerment company. Synergy doesn't just offer you a financial plan. At Synergy, the goal is to help you find your best financial future. Learn more at synergyfinancial.com.
Welcome back to the show. Let's return to Studio 73.
All right, we are back live again, or not live, but we are back with.
Well, we're live.
Yeah, I guess me and you. I guess technically we are live.
Yeah, but we're not live. The FCC, which has no say on the YouTube machine, stepped in and goes, "You guys got to stop doing lives. It's too much sexy." I think
now that I believe.
I think that's what they said.
But we're counting down. We're putting up our list and we're counting them down as far as the best, or not necessarily the best, just the top 12 Big 12 sneaky games this year. We got the last two. And again, they weren't in any order. We're just throwing the games out here. Next up that we have on the list is UCF at West Virginia. Yesterday, I had my list was littered with West Virginia games as far as being one of the top teams or top games in the conference. Again, I think West Virginia is just going to be in those games. The year before, they didn't have a lot of games and they had a lot of success, but they didn't have a lot of top games. They're going to have those this year.
Yeah.
This, I believe, is going to be one of them. Again, two teams that are on the cusp of being in the upper echelon. And so we'll see. We will see. I think UCF really is right there. I think West Virginia is really right there. And again, this is a game that could separate them from the middle rung to get them in the higher rung. And I think it's going to be, again, a very good football game.
I am so fired up for this game for unknown reasons, reasons I can't explain. There's just something about this matchup and the standing of these two programs at this moment in time that I think is going to make this game really important. in its own way for separating out maybe the upper and lower division finishes of these teams. But again, they're both teams we recognize if things start going right and they find that groove, they have the little magic sauce, they might be up there towards the top of the conference. And I think only one of them will be that way, and this game might sort it out.
Yeah, it might. Again, being fired up for it, I understand, because I think it's going to be a good game. And again, it may not get all the national attention, but if you're a Big 12 fan, it should definitely get your attention because, again, sneaky good football game, very competitive. Two teams trying to claw their way to the upper echelon within the Big 12 conference. And then the last game that I got here, Fitz, again, we got West Virginia going to Texas Tech. And basically for all the reasons that I just laid out for the previous game. Again, both teams trying to claw their way up to the upper echelon of the conference. A lot of people won't be talking about this game nationally, but I think a lot of people will be talking about this game within the Big 12 community because I think it's going to be that good of a football game.
Yeah, rinse and repeat what I just said. This game feels like these programs are kind of the same makeup. Where they're at right now, how they're going about it. Coaches that, last year was a little bit disappointing for Tech, even though they were pretty good. West Virginia had been disappointing. Neil Brown got them going. Coach McGuire feels like they're going to get going again at Tech. We'll see. I mean, this is just another one of those really quality mid-level Big 12 games that I think if you're flipping channels, you stop on and go, you know what, let's watch a little of this. And it might be a blowout, but I don't think it will be. And as are most of the games on this list. I don't expect them to be blowouts. That's why we think they're going to be sneaky good.
Absolutely. So thanks everybody for taking the time to join us on our journey that we've had with Big 12 Insiders. We appreciate that. Appreciate you tuning in. So a lot of these football games, Fitz, going to be great football games. I'm just ready for it to start.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it to start. This is August 8th. We can't get to the first game fast enough, at least in my opinion. I am ready for some football, Fitz. What about you?
I really am. I just I'm fired up for Colorado, North Dakota State. Let's get this started on a Thursday, the first game week. Oh yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in on Big 12 football this year because we're venturing into the unknown, and sometimes the unknown can be kind of fun.
Absolutely. So thanks everybody for watching. Again, we'll be going for 5 days a week with Big 12 Insiders the first week of the season. Got a lot of good stuff lined up for you guys. So remember to continue to like, follow, subscribe, leave those comments. We appreciate it. And also hit that notification bell so you know when all our videos come out. We appreciate you guys. This is the Big 12 Insiders.
This has been a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.